This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Awesome. So welcome. This is our first meeting of 2024 season. So exciting. I am just gonna say really quick, and everyone kind of already said this, but we have a lot to talk about. So if everybody could do their updates about their each committee as efficiently as you can, try to keep it really short and pertinent. Just because the new, continuing, and old business is all really important stuff, and we need to get through so we can have those big discussions. I also am going to move the treasurer's report to the end of the committee updates. That way, it can lead right into our new business about organizing our budget for new projects and stuff for this year. So that way we don't have to start talking about finances and then have to start it again. So what else do I have here? Oh, great. I don't know where to say this, so I'll just say it now. I did get the city website kind of like updated with some of the links that Karen had mentioned wanting to have on there. But I also started working on just like a little Square site. So I'll have that up there eventually too. So it'll link, or Squarespace, pardon me. Two companies like the same name. But so we'll have a Squarespace site that'll have a detailed like form for people to just email me and Margie directly and then put people in contact with you. It'll have links to all the documents. So that way, like Karen said, like we can have as much of this information to the public all the time, not just to our list of gardeners. So great. And then I'm also going to add to the agenda after operations a little compost report. And yeah, so that's it. Okay. Any public comment from anybody who's or things people wanted added to the agenda? All right, great. So I'd love to move on to the portion of the meeting where we accept the minutes from our last meeting. It was November 2nd. Anyone motion to accept those minutes?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Anyone second?
Second.
Awesome. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. All right. And so we're going to move treasurer's report to the end. So next is operations.
Okay. And I am unmuted.
Yeah, that's right.
So there's not going to be a whole lot to talk about here, and other than the fact that I'll be taking, I didn't take the mowers and the trimmers at the end of last season. So I'm taking them up next week to get their annual physical, and because it's my spring break next week, so I've got time to go up there and do that. And at that point, I'll see if there's anything else that we need for them, like string or anything like that. I really don't have a whole lot other to say, because next meeting is when we'll figure out what we're going to do in terms of the opening day and everything. Does anybody have any questions about anything in regards to operations?
I guess I'll just say I still have the tools and I am going to get them sharpened as well. I just keep putting it off, but I'm going to take them to the hardware store and they sharpen all the tools there. So
Okay.
I had called Flurry wondering about getting the weed whacker serviced, and it sounds like I don't need to worry about the question I did have. So
Yeah, no, I'll take them both up there.
sounds good.
Thanks, Jonathan.
cool. All right. Anything else? Questions, comments for operations? All right. Margie is not here. So I know we have some available plots. Hopefully when she comes, she can give us the updates about how many. I did wonder, I couldn't recall, it is this meeting that we would talk about when we want the applications due by, correct? If not the workday, the opening workday.
Hold on.
I mean, we might as well. Just, I was thinking we could have.
It is, yes.
Okay. So the application, also, well, we'll just start. Do we want to have applications due at the, let's see, April, by our next meeting, the first week of April, or is that not enough time?
Well, I'm looking at last year, and they were due the first week in April. So,
Okay, great.
yeah, we should probably keep that standard, because we need to know. We're going to need to know how many new people are applying for plots and what we have available. So the sooner we know that, the better. Yeah.
So maybe we'll just do April 1st, so that way, if there's time, so that way there's a couple days to show people plots and such before our first meeting in April, and we'll know what's going on. So April 1st is a Monday. All right.
Do we know how many plots are going to be available?
At this point, let me see.
Out of 40 plots, out of the 40 plots, I know that some will not be available. Technically, I guess. Just how many we might count on.
I think let's see. A lot of the ones that people gave up were claimed. And I think I got rid of the wrong one, but I think it's like 3 plots that are open right now. And plus the 4 thistle plots are still gone. So that's like 7 less than we usually have. Yeah, Stephen.
First, I want to apologize. I don't know what's happening with the video part, but it's not accepting my camera. I'm not intentionally not having my camera on. I didn't know whether the plot I've had, B11, is among those that are deemed open, because I did say I would make it open if we had folks who want to take it.
I'll put question maybe. I think that the map I updated to show the paths correctly, I think I'm missing a couple open plots on this map. So I'll make sure and get a firm answer for you after the meeting. Oh my gosh, where? So that way we can, Ted had brought up in the budget, that part of our income is based on how many plots we will have filled. So, yeah, I'll make sure you have an update for how many we need to fill, as well. Let's see, so.
Well, to be clear, I will make sure that the fee is paid for it, whether it's mine or someone else's.
Okay. Thanks, Stephen. Well, I hope you get to use it, but being generous. All right, so we'll have the application due April 1st. Did anyone have a chance to look at the application and have anything you want to change this year over last year?
The only thing I could think of is we need to be able to set the fee. And
yeah.
That's why it was of concern of mine as to we've had $800 income from fees over the last couple of years. That seems to be what was originally set up, $20 fee, 40 plots. We now have fewer plots. The question is whether or not we really need to increase the fees, because I think you have to have that information when you go out with the application.
Yeah.
And I was thinking that we might.
Yeah, and without
need to
wandering
go up.
into budget, although it is important, Ted has calculated what our costs are.
Well, why don't we talk about the fee change then when we're talking about our budget for this year? And then we can, we'll update the price if need be. Was there anything else for the application besides us maybe changing the fee? You did a lot of good work on it last year, so I think it looks pretty good. All right. If anyone has anything they notice after the meeting, just let me know. I am going to send it to the city to have it updated on their website tomorrow. And so we'll come back to we'll circle back to the fee and the budget portion. Great. And so that's it, I think, for outreach, except for Eric. Do you have anything?
Nothing to contribute here.
Okay, great. Except for the missing Facebook event. But okay, great. And then I think any path maintenance updates that were on your mind?
I haven't been out there yet this year, so I don't know what needs to be done. I know that we still have a couple rolls of the contractor paper, and we'll probably have mulch by the time that we get started. So first work day, we should have everything we need to start laying down paths if we need to. Hopefully they're still maintained from last year, but again, haven't seen them yet this year, so don't know what state they're in.
We have a lot of mulch.
All right.
Yes.
And it might be something with the mapping that I'm going to talk about later. That I don't know if you'll want to be there, because that might be something where you might have to assess how the paths need to be redone a little bit also based on the new lines. All right, awesome. Thank you. And next, the donation garden, I guess the update there, we still don't have anyone running that per se. We had a couple people interested, but we were thinking we would do raised container gardening in the thistle plots for a donation garden this year. I don't know if we need to make that more, we can talk about that more next meeting, if as far as hammering that out, especially if it turns out we have a lot of extra budget and want to put money towards that. But I think that's enough on that for now, unless anyone has any concerns.
I have 6 raised beds, fabric raised beds that I can donate to the garden.
Heck yeah.
But we'll need to source the stuff to fill them with. They are very expensive to fill dirt. So when we get our mulch and stuff like that, if everybody wants to chip in a little bit, or if some people want to chip in a little bit, just getting them filled is a project.
Okay. All right.
I think that I got the 50 gallon. There might be 100 gallon.
Okay.
The same size as the ones that I have in my plot.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, I'll definitely write that down. We can touch on that more once we get to the budget portion and also decide on how we want to structure that next time. But that's awesome about the donation of the bags. Thank you. Great. Cool. All right. So now a pollinator garden.
So the pollinator garden, that first box near the road, last year I planted several Joe Pye, several varieties of Joe Pye, several ironweed, several spotted bee balm, and the seedlings. So I'm waiting to see, do they come back? And the one near the donation garden, we had Frank's Rudbeckia, plus I dug up some plants at my house that needed thinning anyway, and I stuck those in. So hopefully those will perk up once spring comes. And I did a bunch of winter sowing at the house. So hopefully we'll have seedlings from there that I can put into the middle garden. But we're still thinking about, once the weather gets better, building some 3 more raised beds to go on the other side of the plot.
Great. And I'm just realizing, do we have a number on how much the other 3 cost in total? Is that on here?
I think Ted might have put that on his.
Building materials?
I'll try to find it here. We spent about $140 last year.
All right.
For,
On those 3.
for the pollinator garden. It was we spent some additional amount for the raised beds up by the parking lot, but the amount for lumber and screws for pollinator garden raised beds last year was $139.09.
So were we, I don't remember, did we decide, do we want to pay Flurry's somewhat higher price and just get the lumber through there? Or do we want to go back to Lowe's, or what do we want to do?
I think we decided Flurry for now because I think in the end, the navigating of the refunding and such was maybe not the best precedent, if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken.
Yeah, just so that we know going forward, we're gonna go ahead and order that from Flurry's when the time comes.
Yeah, and so it might be a little higher. Right. Awesome. Anything else?
No, nothing else yet.
Great. All right. Volunteer hours. Deb is still wanting to run that just the same way that she did last year. But she cannot come to the meeting tonight. And so cool. Now it's time for the treasurer's report.
That was fast.
Yeah, it was really efficient.
Well, basically, I sent you a November report because we did have to pay a bill in November after the last meeting. And that was for shutting down the irrigation system. And that drew our account down for that purchase order to $15. So I requested that we up the purchase order by another $300, which should cover us for the current year. Because we get a charge when they open up, and we get a charge when they shut it down. And so that shows up. You also have a February report, which is the most recent month, and that basically gives us our current status as we begin the year. What we have available in the various purchase order accounts, what our reserve fund is, what our petty cash is. If there are any questions, I think everybody got copies that you mailed out, Sarah?
Yes. Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions about those reports? That's just basically a status report of our finances.
Yeah, so Ted, that February one, and that's the one we really want to be looking at.
That's the, yeah, that's the latest, that's
Yeah, that's the one I'm
up
looking
to
at.
date, where we've added back the $300 into the, Flurry lumber, so, or not the Flurry lumber, but the, Broadbrook.
Broadbrook, yeah.
Yeah.
So the total there's a $2,800 total. That doesn't
Yeah,
take
the
into
$2,800 is the total that we have reserved in, it's our reserve funds, which are not put into any purchase order.
Okay, so none of that's been encumbered then. That's unencumbered money.
Correct.
Okay.
That's all unencumbered. And then we have the 277 in petty cash, which we try to use little by little since we don't get a lot of cash.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I would like to close out the purchase order. That's under my name that we had to go through last year so we could make the purchases of lumber at Lowe's. And so I would like to ask that I be allowed to do that. And because I think the idea of buying local is also, even if it's a little bit more, is good for us if we can do it. So that just covers our basic finances. And then I submitted a proposed budget, and I've only been reporting basically on what's in our funds. And so I went back from the time that I began as the treasurer a couple of years ago with the 2022 garden year. And I went through every transaction, and I basically put it into categories that you can see on the proposed budget sheet. Plot fees. I added in donations and miscellaneous because hopefully maybe we could generate some income from sources other than fees as a possibility. And then I broke it down, the expenses, building materials, compost soil, equipment maintenance, gas and oil. Frank, I think you still owe me some receipts for last year for the gas, so we'll have to cover them this year.
Yeah, and I think I cleaned out my wallet and I might have tossed them, so that'll be my in-kind donation.
I got to figure out a better way to
definitely
make things work with you.
I need to tack them. I need to tack them inside the shed somewhere with a.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
Really quick, I just realized, can we accept the 2 other finance reports before we move on too far ahead? Just a motion. Does anyone move?
Oh, I motion that we accept the previous finance reports, or
both
2.
November and February.
Yes.
Yeah. Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. Okay, great. Now we can, everyone keep going right where you are.
Okay.
One other question, since we're voting, to remove that that line with your name on it, Ted, do we need to vote on that as well?
Probably good to do that, and then I always feel that we should, any move we make to add or subtract anything in those areas, we should at least vote on, and everybody's aware of it.
All right. Well, I move to close out the open. How do we want to say that?
PO.
PO.
The open PO. Yeah.
With my name on it. And that money will just go.
That. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Fabulous. Okay.
Thank you, Frank. Okay, just back to the budget. So what I did was I went through all the transactions and I categorized each transaction, and then I was able to come up with the total spent in each area over the last 2 years. And I just sort of made up a budget, and it's open for discussion, increases, decreases in all the areas. Basically, I wanted to have a balanced budget, so income would equal expenditures. We've had $800 income in each of the last 2 years, basically from fees. And then in terms of expenses, I'll just quickly go over that. The building materials that I was recommending was roughly what I thought should be as a minimum be made available to purchase materials for the pollinator garden raised beds. I do have some leftover screws, might need to get some more. So as I say, the last time we built them, it was about $140. It might be a little bit more. We might want to think about adjusting that. But I think it's a good idea for us to have a budget and just say, let's try to stay within these budgets and live within them. The new equipment, we had a lot of purchases last year with all the new hoses, nozzles, etc. We don't have that expense this year. I'm not sure what other equipment we might need, so put a little money in for that. Irrigation services. Let's see. Then there was equipment maintenance. We didn't have any expenditure last year, so I put in $200. But Frank, if you're taking everything in, I don't know what inflation is like at the Fleury equipment repair and maintenance. We might have to think about a little bit more there. So the question is if we need to pay more for building materials, a pollinator garden, if we need to pay more for equipment maintenance this year than I've shown there. We might have to increase the fees to help cover that, to have money and still maintain a balanced budget. I think that what we have in reserve funds, we should not dip into that too much. We went spent out some of that last year. We spent more than we took in fees, but I don't think it's a good idea to keep doing that. And always to have that, because we don't know when we're going to have to replace an expensive item. So I don't want to use that as a source. I think we need to maintain a reserve and have our fees, for the most part, try to cover what we might spend in a given year. We could think of ways maybe we can do fundraising, or if anybody has ideas like that to increase our income. If there, and when we talk about the possibility of having some plots open for scholarships, my recommendation would not be to do it taking out of reserve funds, and not necessarily take it out of fees, but that we could try to do that through donation.
Yeah.
At some point, if we need to do that, because I don't know how many plots we're actually going to get, people paying fees on this year. If we had 40 plots when the garden originated, and the fee was $20, from the very beginning, they were expecting $800 a year in income, as I guess, or $760 maybe, because of the fact that you had a pollinator garden and a donation garden. I don't know if those were in the original garden or not. Frank, would you know?
Yeah, I think we had the donation garden, but we didn't have the pollinator garden. And of
Okay.
course, we didn't have the thistle issue either.
Yeah.
Can I ask really quick, what projects were concerned about finishing or starting this summer? We are the pollinator, the last 3 raised beds, right? Is the 140, is that just for the wood? Does that include the soil?
No. 140
Well,
didn't include the soil, right?
I have put in for compost and soil. Let's see, I've got in $125 there. I know that there was roughly $100, I think, that was spent on topsoil with, and I think we spent $48 for compost that was made available to the donation garden. You know, they were allowed to take some out, and then we reimbursed Mark for what was taken. We reimbursed him out of garden funds for compost that was used for donation garden and pollinator garden, I guess. And so I would expect that we would need extra, especially if you're going to do donation garden on the in the cloth raised beds or something like that. We might need a lot more money this year for soil and compost to get those things started.
Or we increase the size of the compost delivery. We could do that.
Yeah,
too.
yeah, but
Well, if I could,
we're going to have to
just
pay for it.
yeah,
Sure.
if I could just add to that with regard to the donation garden. First of all, I think most of us, there's been to actually get the plants and the seeds for the donation garden has been from donations. So if we really want to be straightforward about that, I think we need to add some money for that. If indeed we decide to do a donation garden, which is another issue entirely, since it's been hard to find people to manage and work on it consistently. So just want to add that, because that may be a cost that you want to think about that would have to add, that I don't think is on your budget other than the compost piece, Ted.
Karen?
I think we also need to see how many people want to have gardens this summer. So if the donation garden isn't working out, or we can cut the donation garden back to a smaller area, if we have enough people who want to work the other plots. I think it's important to have the plots being worked so that we don't have weeds growing all summer.
Yes, the donation garden we already gave up. It's now someone's plot. The donation garden would only be raised beds or container gardening on top of the thistle plots.
Okay, and if we have no one who has the time to work that, then maybe we should just hold off for a season if we have to.
Well, if they're the containers of the weed issue is not going to be that big a deal.
Yeah.
The labor might be, though, needing to water them depending, I mean, not if it's like last year, but it might be a different kind of labor that's also required. I feel a little complicated about, I want us to be able to figure out if we need to raise the prices, but it's hard for me to know if we should prioritize setting setting aside money for the donation garden since it's already such a precarious
Well,
project.
you have to make a decision at some point. I guess I would say that, and maybe now's the time, or very soon,
Yeah.
because we want to be accurate with our budget, with Ted's budget, and make sure that it indicates what the true costs are.
Stephen, were you going to say something? All right. I'm wondering if well, first, it's good that we don't have like a ton of projects that we're hoping to do. It does seem like the main things are going to be maintenance of the equipment and finishing the pollinator garden and the question of the donation garden. The other projects I'm going to bring up here in a second, I think are going to be free. But maybe before we talk about raising the price, do you guys know maybe of a good way to phrase on the application how like that we would be taking donations as well to the $20 fee?
Why would we be doing that?
Could you clarify that a little more? Like,
Yeah.
Well, so Ted included on here donations, and if we wanted to include on the application when someone's turning in their $20 that they could include an extra, if they're a person who could afford $30, they would be thus donating 10 just to the general welfare of the garden. Or other ways of accepting donations via this initial fee that everyone pays.
Is that what you're thinking, Ted?
Why that? Yeah, that was. I guess
I wasn't
that was a
thinking.
suggestion. Yeah.
No, I just the garden was created out of donations, and then fees were instituted. So I'm just saying that there are ways in which people can donate. You know, we can accept donations that can be used to help pay our expenses. I know that people pay out of their own pocket and do things without it going through our budget, but I think some of these things, whether it's a fundraiser or whether people just want to make an additional donation to the Easthampton Community Garden.
Would it help if we were more specific about what that might help pay for? You know, why would people want to do this? I mean, I don't know.
I don't know if something, I mean, off the top of my head, you know, would we want to do something in terms of a donation toward setting up a new donation garden, you know, with the donated raised beds, but we have to fill them. How much would it cost us for soil and for if we didn't have that burden on the budget other than through donations, then it wouldn't impact the other project that we have going.
Is Ted, would this be in lieu of raising the fees? Because I still think that issue needs to be addressed.
No, to be honest with you, I think it's about time that we have the say a fee increase from $20 to $25. If we have 40 plots, that would be $200 additional that we have. We don't have a huge budget. $200 would be a nice thing on a regular basis to be able to count on, and without going into reserve funds.
Yeah, I mean, the reserve is for, go ahead.
Well, you had asked about wording. You could say a fee of at least $25, although additional money would be accepted and welcome. I don't know.
That sounds good.
That does sound good.
I have a thing. Hi, this is Christine. You know, when you get like donate, mail from the Sierra Club or Smith or whatever, have suggested donation or basic fee, and then it's $20, and then it goes $50, $100, whatever, and other. So if anybody gets solicitations from any charity, take a look at the envelope and use those words, because people are used to it. We don't have to reinvent the wheel.
That's a
Do
good
you
point.
folks know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yes,
Definitely.
yes.
Okay. Just use the same thing. Don't think too hard about it. It works.
I agree. I'll do Eric and then Mark for comments.
I just want to suggest that if we do any sort of verbiage where we're soliciting extra fees, that it would be helpful to specifically call out what those fees would be used for.
Right.
Like say, this is a project fee. This year we are using this to expand the donation garden, or we're using this to rebuild the pollinator garden or something like that. I think that it would be more inclined for the gardeners who aren't as familiar with what we're doing to actually see what that money was going for, instead of just, looking like a cash grab for question marks.
All right. And then Mark?
That's a good idea.
I don't know that I had anything specific to add to that. I like Eric's idea. I keep getting booted on and off of this Google Meet, but I was wondering if Ted had mentioned his great idea about how we could do, what'd you call them? What Eric has, those bags, garden bags.
The grow bags. Yeah.
Did you talk about
bed
those?
grow bags.
Yeah, because you were talking about. Go ahead.
My suggestion would be, since we have such a hard time with the donation garden, it was a big plot, and there's a lot of weeding to do all the time. It was a lot to do, and I just had the idea that Eric, how many grow bags do you have that will be available?
I think 6. It could be
6.
8, but it's probably 6.
So if we had 6, if you had 6 people who would be willing to take over one bag and do something there.
As a volunteer.
As a volunteer, the weeding is should be pretty easy. And you can spread it out, and it's not as onerous a task as trying to do a 20 by 20 plot and do most of it yourself with a possible little bit of help. But people, if you had 6 people or 3 people to do 2 bags, but not make it such an onerous task. They come up, work their garden, and then spend an extra 15 or 20 minutes looking after one grow bag as a way of handling the donation garden.
Great idea.
Just as a suggestion.
Yeah.
It might need a coordinator,
Okay.
somebody who would just know who the 6 people are. I would also suggest putting a gardener's name with the bag, so we know whose bag it is, and congratulate them on the wonderful crop they're growing and tending in the donation garden, rather than just sort of leave it haphazard, and we don't know who's supposed to be taking care of what. And
yeah, I think that could fit into volunteer jobs. I mean, Ted told me about this idea this morning. It sounded pretty good. And I'm thinking, if Deb Friedman's going to oversee the jobs, she could add that to her list.
Yeah, it could just be part of the volunteer coordinating, just to check in with those people specifically. That's a great idea.
But there would be a little bit of cash investment in terms of purchasing the grow bags, right? And the contents. Eric could probably tell us what the cost might be.
It might be tough. Well, we might need someone to coordinate bringing the actual donations still, which might be a bit of a hurdle to the community center, but maybe we can table that element of it because I think churches.
Yeah, to be honest, we haven't really produced huge amounts of produce over the last few years from the donation garden, regrettably. Some of it because of weather, and some of it's a small plot for, getting a whole lot of veg. So just not to be too ambitious, that's all.
So, I guess just to organize this a little bit, let's just talk about how much money we think it would take to fill the 6 grow bags with soil. Oh my God, sorry, my cat. It's really loud. I'm just gonna look up. You thought they were 50 gallon grow bag soil.
Yep, I'm double checking right now what they were from the order.
Is there anything the internet can't tell us?
They're 100 gallon.
Oh,
6
wow.
100 gallon. Ooh, 600 gallons. That's a lot.
Yeah, you can do a little bit on the bottom with mulch, so you get a couple gallons that are going to be the wood chips at the very bottom, and you don't fill them all the way up to the top, because if you do, then the water runs out instead of getting absorbed into the bag. But I mean, that's nickel and dime. Assumes, for your calculation, assume 600, and it'll be a little bit less than that.
600 gallons.
Total.
Well, the soil is measured in cubic feet. So what is that? Is what is the conversion of a gallon to a cubic foot?
Yeah, don't have my.
Let's see, one
gallon.
It says it's 0.133 cubic feet.
Okay.
How many gallons in a cubic foot?
Oh my God.
So we've got
higher math. You should know the answers, Ted. You're a math.
I know. I was like, Ted, I thought you just know this off the
It's
top.
dry and it's wet.
I think we're going to need 80 cubic feet of soil, or less because of the mulch on the bottom. And I'm trying to think of a raised bed.
So it's about 7.4 gallons is 1 cubic foot. So
feet. All right, so I think it's going to cost about let's see, 80. It'll cost quite a bit. It might cost like a lot to fill them all.
Well,
they're depending on where we're limited on where we can price the stuff from. We can get dirt cheaper where I got it from the Pioneer Valley, the recycling center.
Oh.
They have mulch there. It's young, so it's not good compost mulch. It really took a year for it to get going good. But it was really cheap in bulk. So that could be an option.
Would it maybe make sense for us to vote on raising the minimum to $25 and then also somehow include in the application that we would be taking donations towards the pollinator garden donation plot or donation garden project. And the next meeting, when we have all the applications in, we'll know how many people have paid the 25, and we'll also know how many people have paid more than that. And then we can decide how many grow bags we can fill versus having this idea that we have to do all 6.
Okay.
The other option is, if we just think that it's going to be prohibitively expensive to do that, we can go back to doing the donation plot we had or not, that's another option to consider. But depending on the
That
cost.
plot is no longer available. It is now someone's plot.
Oh, it has already been
We
assigned?
opened it up. Yeah. Yeah.
And that was before we met? Because why we didn't talk
No,
about it?
the last meeting we decided we were no longer going to do the donation garden, and
Oh, we did. Okay,
Yeah.
I must have missed that meeting.
but and then the grow bag idea came up as like a sort of substitution. But if there's, if it comes to that where we have an available plot, we could make one of the available plots the new donation garden also, or
Or
that
not.
is always yeah. No, I mean it's always an option.
I mean, a lot of the idea behind the donation plot, and Stephen can speak to this, was that he thought it would put us in a good place politically if we were doing something to give back to the city, as well as, using the land there. I don't know I don't know how they all feel or what people think about that, but that was the original motivation as I understand it. I mean, we still have offered to collect extra produce and bring it to the community center. Not that we've been terribly successful, but last year was a bad year anyway. But we still ask gardeners if they have extra food. We can be more aggressive about that too if we want.
Yeah,
That's true.
I think it's a good idea to continue, and hopefully we'll improve at it.
Yeah, just need people.
Yeah. I'd like to recommend that we do the fee increase to $25, and then if it can be put on the form, I like the idea is if you can, please consider making an additional contribution of $10, $20 toward this year's refurbishment of the donation garden.
Okay, that's good.
Does that?
I'm going to separate, let's vote on the $25, and then we'll have a separate conversation about how we want to phrase the donation part.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, I like that, the idea of having that all on that application as we do it, so that, but yeah, I agree with, you can vote on them separately.
So have you made a motion, Ted?
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay.
Does anyone move?
I will move that we increase this year's garden fee from $20 to $25.
I second it.
Plot.
I
Yep.
second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great.
Opposed?
Yeah, opposed?
Abstention.
Great. I guess does everyone have the ability to look at the application right now? Or no pressure, I guess, but it is sort of funny the way we have the application lay out the fee is it's just in the rules kind of portion of the application. So it says, I agree to pay a minimum, and I just changed it to say a minimum. Actually, wait, let me do it this way. This is smarter. I can share the link in the Zoom here. So we can all look at the document I'm editing. Right, see if everyone got that in the chat. I think, yeah.
I was able to find it on the city website pretty easily, so that's a good sign.
Yeah, good. That one's not editable though, so you can't comment. But yes, I'm glad. All right. So it says I agreed to pay a minimum fee of $25, which we just changed, to help cover garden expenses. No one will be turned away for lack of funds, so please reach out accordingly. That was something we added last year.
That's good.
Do we want to make us like, should we include the donation portion in this part, or should we include it? It just feels like a weird thing for someone to sign off on, that they can donate, but,
It should be with the other money. It should
Okay.
be right there, like included in it. Like I said, look at your other solicitations. I mean, it's usually the base fee is in bold print, and then the other things go the suggested and then other. And it's right on the implication with your name, everything, you know?
Well, the $25 is in the language of the agreement. Read the following: I agree, I agree, I agree. So I don't know how you put in the part about the donation. 'Cause it's not part of the agreement. It's not an optional.
Do we want to include it as part of the agreement anymore? Or do we want to put it somewhere separately?
It'll get
Just-
lost for people.
Not if we
I
put it at
agree,
the beginning of the application.
If you put it at the top of the application, actually,
Should we just-
that way, they can, when it's received in the office, they can indicate the amount of, if they get one check, they could probably put in the $25, and any greater amount, put it in under donation.
Well, I just saw at the top, we do say, new gardeners, please be sure there's a plot available before you submit an application and your fee. And I changed that to and your $25 fee. So we could even include, we could change this part that is at the top to say, all gardeners, like, I mean, because we are talking about the fee up here. So this could be a spot at the top.
Sure.
Before you submit an application, $25 fee, all gardeners. The fee is $25. No one will be. Let's see, all gardeners, the fee is $25. No one will be turned away for lack of funds. If you would like to, I feel like John and Ted had separate ways of framing this that made a lot of sense. If you would like to additionally donate does it make more sense to say an amount like $10 or?
Yeah, make $10, 20. I would put at least two amounts in, or maybe if you want to do $5, $10, $15.
We could do
Something
5,
like
10, 5, 10, 20, something like
5,
that.
10, 20. Yeah.
Yeah. Check.
Okay.
Yeah, and then,
Check one.
you know, put in something that, you know, a line that says other. You know, just like, don't go on and on, just say, consider a donation.
Okay.
Blah, blah, blah. Or please add my donation. You know, like have fee, the first line, and then please consider a donation of. And so that's two different lines, and that would make it easier for whoever is sorting out the checks.
Yeah. I just think it's important to indicate in addition to the fee.
Yeah,
Or
two different
you could add it on
lines.
after the fee. In addition to this fee, please consider a donation of $5, $10, $20
Or
for
other.
this year's project of refurbishing the donation garden.
Help support our.
Yeah, or something of that order.
Yeah,
I'm not
okay.
the English major here.
Let's see. So here's what it says at the top. For new gardeners in 2024 growing season due April 1st, 2024. New gardeners, please be sure there's a plot available before you submit an application and the $25 fee. All gardeners, the fee is $25. No one will be turned away for lack of funds. Please consider a separate donation in addition to the fee of $5, $10, or $20.
Put in other, because
she-
somebody
oh,
might
yeah.
just be like,
Somebody might do like
here's $100.
She already did. It's there.
It just sounded weird to say. I think the English person and like the literature part of me was like, that sounds weird to say aloud. But anyways, $5, $10, or other to help support our
Other amount.
other amount. There we go.
Yep.
Or other amount to help support our donation garden.
Any amount. Any amount.
Or any amount.
Yeah, suggested. It's always a good idea to suggest.
Yeah. Don't lowball it.
Help support our donation garden and pollinator garden.
And maybe caps in front of those donation garden, pollinator garden, kind of make them stick out.
Yeah.
I actually,
yes.
I could make an argument. Yes, they're proper now. I mean, so we need a.
Oh, go ahead. You're the writing teacher.
Yeah, wait a
for God's
second.
sake, Frank.
Actually,
capitalize,
Frank was
please.
the one.
There's some wording issues up with the applications part as well. I want to make sure that we mean what we say.
You say what we mean.
New gardeners, please be sure there's a plot available before you submit an application and the $25 fee. But when you just submit an application in hopes that there is one, but to not submit the $25 fee.
No, we always have somebody email Margie first, get a plot, and then you deliver it because the application goes to the city. It doesn't just go to us.
Right. Okay. Okay.
So yeah, which we could change, but that usually.
I was just okay. Never mind.
Looks good.
Somebody raised their hand, or what? Just no. But that looks good. I think what maybe I'll do, because Margie isn't here also. I'll send an email after this with the editable document and set a timeline that I'll send it to the city at like noon. So if there's any edits and things that I can go over before I send it, it can happen. Don't hold back on editing the grammar, Frank. That's all, or the flow.
He's our writing teacher.
It's really important. Okay, so does everyone feel good about the application for now? I'm going to send it at noon tomorrow. Please review it tonight. Perfect. And then as far as the proposed budget, maybe all of this seems like really good groundwork for like a more finalized plan or a more knowledgeable framework that we can like have next meeting as we talk about how much income we actually have and thus what other things we'd like to do.
Well,
Yeah.
it seems like Ted has given a pretty good layout of what the costs are. Or is there more research to be done to make that more representative of what the actual cost will be, or is this like most budgets, which is it's our best guess? You know,
It sounds like some of the expenses are definitely going to go up, and if we want to, if we want to maintain a balanced budget, it means some things have to be cut. So we really should look at the whole thing. But I wouldn't expect to pass a budget here. We can wait definitely till the April meeting, and we have a better idea.
All right.
Then make decisions on how much we want to spend.
Sure.
And even then make decisions about like what fundraisers we have to do if we like really need to like do something like that.
And Karen, if you could get an idea of the cost,
Mhm. Okay.
I believe we would need 9. We'd need 9 2x8 8-foot pieces of lumber.
I'll call Flurry up and see if their prices have changed.
Well, tell us what the price of a 2x8 by 8-foot piece of lumber is.
Yeah,
we're not buying the cedar.
right. No, I know. And we did that last fall,
Yeah.
but I'm going to check with them to see if anything has changed.
Yeah, and then we can figure out. And if the budget is short, we might have to go with 2 instead of 3. But these are the things that we can work out when we finalize the budget.
Sounds
So
good.
we'll try to get it all going.
Awesome. Oh, Karen, yeah, go ahead.
So I know that this isn't a priority for everybody, but that picnic table is rotting, and it would be nice to have something there that's sturdy. So I was thinking about maybe posting on something like, Free Cycle, asking if somebody has a picnic table in decent condition that they don't want. But the question is, do we have, does somebody have a pickup truck that we could move it if that happened?
Oh, that's such a great idea, actually. Super great. Thanks, Karen.
Good idea.
Does anyone have a truck though?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll carry it together. No, I might be able to borrow the small oven van. So let me know. And sometimes I can borrow the van. It's deceivingly small in there, but hopefully it'll fit.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is the time of year when people might be, looking through their garden stuff, thinking about what they want to get rid of. So I'll check.
Great. Awesome. Thank you. And that was kind of a natural transition to gardener feedback. Any other things to add or thoughts? I'm just going to move into the old business about the mapping of the plots. So one of the
I got one thing, Sarah. I'm sorry.
Oh yes, please.
I was muted. I got thrown out and I had to get back in again. I don't know when the time is, and it's the issue of all the debris behind the shed and how we need to take care of that. We talked about again with the idea of someone having a truck in the past years, but I think that should be on our agenda for some point. I'll just mention it once, and you can put it wherever you want.
No, that's great. Maybe we'll make that like a mandatory sort of project somehow for that first work day.
I mean, I want to say, I wonder if the city couldn't help us. You talk about trucks and all.
Yeah, I'll ask the city. I will. That's a great idea.
If we get it all out to the road where we can load it on or something, then they could take it away wherever they throw away stuff.
Yeah, the city's been really helpful, so I think we need to reach out to them more. So that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Awesome. So with the city being really helpful, Daniel Murphy, who's one of the city engineers, is gonna do the survey of the garden for us. And he says there's a drone, so he's going to take some pictures, so that way we'll always have the photographs as well. His one request is that somebody help him. So does anyone volunteer to help him? And then I can put you guys in contact to coordinate a day.
I would be glad to help.
Okay, Karen, anybody else want to help?
Yeah, I think I'll get in on that.
Okay.
I might be able to, depends upon when, but
yeah, that's same with me.
Yeah.
I'll include all of us into a little email.
Excellent.
Thing. Okay, great.
Yeah, probably the sooner we do that, the better.
Yeah, I think
Obvious reasons.
he was nervous we needed it done like in the next couple like last week or something, and I thought at least until we definitely need it done before I think our next meeting, but I don't know. At least before the work day would be great.
Yeah.
So
Well,
before.
and that may be another expense in terms of what we're going to market plots with.
Yes, I'm working on.
Because initially we could use the little flags and then decide, okay, what's going to be the best thing? Do we want to use rebar? We had fiberglass last time, and it breaks and it's easy to move it. We maybe want to think about something that may not be as easy to move.
Well, he brought up land surveying stakes, which are metal spikes that you put in the ground. So they
Yeah.
can't be moved because they're flush with the ground.
Okay.
And I'm working on, they're very expensive. So I'm working
Oh.
on seeing if we can get them donated from another like surveyor or something. He actually had suggested like a city's, like somebody the city works with who might just donate some. We could also not get the metal ones, we could get plastic. He seemed to think we could get some for free from someone.
Okay, cool.
And I
Yeah.
still have those metal pipes.
Okay, and some pipes. Okay, great. Awesome. Okay. And if not, I'll put that on the agenda that we need to figure that out maybe for our budget as well. But as far as at this point, I think we're going to be able to get those for free.
Cool.
Really quick for new business, I'm just going to say a friend of mine is starting a compost consulting business. And so we're going to be her first client for free. And she's going to help assess our compost situation. We went out there the other day and started talking about a plan. She's going to get us a recipe, and she was just wondering, and we can decide on this next time, but be reflecting on it, that we have goals for how much compost we'd like to be producing every year. We could stop having to purchase compost at all, and she could make us a plan for like if we want to cover the entire garden with 2 inches of compost, 1 inch of compost, whatever, and she would get us an agenda for how to get that done every year.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that could be huge. So I'm going to table that kind of discussion until next time, but do be thinking about like your dream, your compost dreams. And yeah.
Compost dreams. Sounds like a movie.
She's looking for names for her business, so I'll write that down.
That's great.
I can think of some composted dreams.
Oh my God. Compost dreams. Okay. All right. And so the last of the new business is a rationalizing of the clerk and external communications.
Yes, since I rose up, let me speak to it. When we kind of divvied out tasks in the past, when it came to communications, we kind of had Margie doing them, and when Eric came along and when we kind of focused on our Facebook page communications, he took that on, which kind of led us to have kind of 2 kind of communications people, one then we dubbed internal, and then one which we dubbed external. But as you kind of look at the external one, it also kind of is the same thing as the person who is recognized to the outside world as the clerk of the committee, who's kind of files the minutes to the city, etc. So I suggested, beginning this year, and worked with Eric. Did I say Mark? I meant Eric. That we try to maybe rationalize that into one. It just doesn't make much sense to have external communications and a clerk position. So Eric tried his hand and assembled the minutes, and together we worked on putting the agenda together and kind of went through the steps doing that. I don't know how, Eric, you felt it went. I mean, we got it done. I thought it was successful, and Eric seemed to be willing then, if it was, to move forward, and we would just kind of take those two similar positions and just make them one, with Eric taking that on. So I wanted to put that before the committee so that for purposes going forward this year, Eric would be listed in essence as the clerk, and that would be the position. And Margie returns to just being the communications person. So if that's okay with everybody, then I just thought we would just bring it to the committee and I guess take a
Sure.
vote.
So Eric, you like that idea?
Yeah.
Good. Looks for you.
And if I can't be around to, get the minutes for a meeting or anything like that, as long as we have at least one person who knows how to start the recording, all of our meetings are available online, so I can go back and get minutes and stuff like that at any time.
Yep.
Awesome.
That's a good idea. Yeah, and you're pretty tech savvy, so that's good.
Heck yeah.
All right, so maybe then if that's our discussion, then I'll make a motion then to adopt the proposal to kind of, in essence, demise the external communications position in order for Eric to become known as the committee clerk. So I put that I make that motion if there's a second to that.
Second.
Okay, and then Sarah, if you want to call it to a vote.
Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great.
Opposed on it, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
anyone
you, Eric.
opposed? Okay. Yeah, this is so
Appreciate it.
exciting.
That's great.
Awesome. Well, that was so efficient. Does anyone have any other things they want brought up for us to talk about now, or to put on, make sure it's on the agenda for next time? No? Okay, great. So the next meeting is going to be April 4th, and we have the application due April 1st, and I'll send the application in a couple minutes, and then to you guys to make sure everyone feels good about it, and then I'll send it to the city tomorrow at noon. And again,
Excellent.
meeting April 4th, 7 p.m.
That's
Great.
excellent.
Yay.
Yay, Sarah.
A great job, everybody. That was
Look at that.
awesome. This is such a-
8:27.
Can't believe it.
Whoa.
We had so much to talk about. Skated right through it. I love it.
So,
We have 3 minutes to talk about jumping worms.
Yeah, there we go. Weird. Oh, I'm breaking up. Sorry.
All right, cool.
All right. Well,
Okay.
I adjourn the meeting then. Everyone have a great night.
Yeah. Getting
And-
psyched.
I have compost dreams.
Yeah, and have
Compost
compass dreams. Exactly. All right. Bye, everybody.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.